फिर से भेज रहा हूँ मैं। दूसरी स्टार्ट तो कर दो लाइव। ओके Okay, so let's start our discussion for the current affairs for today's newspaper. First news item on the first page, you can see this is about Radhakrishnan elected as Vice President of India. Now, Vice President is an important position. If you all know the constitutional precedence of order, you'll find out that number one position is given to President, whereas second position is given to Vice President. So it's an important office we must be aware of. Now, if we look at some basic facts about this position of Vice President. So, constitutional articles, if we have to see, Article 63, it mandates office of Vice President. Then 63 to 71, they deal with the election, power and functions. And we say it is the second highest constitutional authority after the President of India. Now, this is a common sense. We all of us know this particular part. One thing that most of the people do not know is that this office is modeled on the United States of America's Vice Presidential Office. So we have somehow copied it, you can say, or learnt how we can make this Vice Presidential Office in India. Although there is substantial difference that you will be observing with respect to the system that exists in USA and the system that exists in India. For example, this Vice President is Chairman of Rajya Sabha in case of India. And in case of USA, it's the same case. Now this is very interesting. Senate seems to be somewhat similar to the Rajya Sabha over here, and here the Vice President presides or becomes the President of Senate. Now this is a similarity, not a difference as such. As far as voting part is concerned, India's Vice President, he can vote only in case of a tie. So in the Rajya Sabha, when he is sitting, in case there is a tie between all the parties, no decision is yet to be made, and because of the voting numbers, they need at least one more vote to get out of this tie. In that case, we can see the Vice President of India, he can vote in Rajya Sabha. Whereas if you go to USA, there is also, you find similar thing, only in case of a tie. That means if I have to say these two things, both of these things are same when it comes to US and India. Third, what about the succession? Succession means, let's say due to some reason, the President of India, either he resigns or he dies or something happens. In that case, will the Vice President succeed him? Will he become the President? Now here you will find some interesting difference. In case of USA, he directly becomes the President of USA for the remaining term. Let's say USA's President has the term of 4 years, and let's say after 1 year the President of USA dies. So remaining term is 3 years. So Vice President becomes the President, and he remains the President of USA for the remaining term, that is the next 3 years. This is very interesting, but this is not the case when it comes to India. In case of India, Vice President acts as President, but only for next 6 months. So let's say in case of India, President is for 5 years. After a year, the President dies. So vice president becomes president, but only for 6 months and not the entire term. He'll become president only for 6 months. Within this time span, we will conduct election for the president and a new person will become president of India. So he will not remain here for the remaining term, just the way we have in United States of America. So this third thing we see as a major difference with respect to succession we find in case of vice president. Fourth, what about the executive role? See, in India's case, the vice president and president, both of them, somewhat their position is very much ceremonial and they have powers, but those powers are very limited powers. When it comes to USA, the vice president is part of executive and is also very influential. That simply means vice president over there gets substantial power, which is not the case in case of India. So the point is, first two are common in case of India and US. These two are not common things when it comes to India and US's vice presidential office. Okay? Now moving ahead. What about the election and eligibility part? So for vice president, the election has to take place. Here the electoral college will consist of member of parliaments of both houses, that is Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Remember, here MLAs are not part of this electoral college. If you remember, in case of president, MLAs are also taken. But in case of vice president, MLAs are not part of it. Only members of Lok Sabha, members of Rajya Sabha. Now this includes members who are directly elected, or directly or indirectly elected, or members who are nominated also. All these members become part of this electoral college. They will vote. Okay? And here the voting takes place not by first past the post system, but by proportional representation, wherein there is secret ballot. So you will be giving some preference number 1, preference number 2 to different people. Okay, and that's how the voting takes place over here. Here we go for something called as single transferable vote system. Okay, your vote is transferable vote. Now look at the eligibility criteria. This is a factual part all of you must know. First, he should be citizen of India. Second, age criteria 35 plus. Qualified for Rajya Sabha. See, he's going to head Rajya Sabha. He should be qualified for Rajya Sabha at least. And he should not be holding any office of profit. These are the criteria given. Now, under Article 69, he's supposed to take the oath. And who will give him oath? Who will administer this oath? He will be the President of India. He or she, obviously. Okay? Now, as far as C.P. Radhakrishnan is concerned, who is becoming the next Vice President, or now the Vice President of India, is C.P. Radhakrishnan. So, he is the candidate from NDA side. We have NDA, we have UPA or India Bloc. So, from India Bloc, we had this Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy, or from opposition parties, they had this candidate called Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy. Whereas from NDA or the ruling party side, C.P. Radhakrishnan, he was there, and in this election C.P. Radhakrishnan got elected. Okay, now moving ahead, look at the term, resignation and vacancy part. What is the term? 5 years. For president also it is 5 years, for vice president also it is 5 years, and it continues until successor assumes the office. What about resignation? Can he resign? Yes, he can resign. But whom will he write his resignation mail? So that will be written to president. And in case of vacancy, let's say there is expiry, resignation, removal, death or disqualification. Due to anything the position is vacant, then election must be held as soon as possible. Article 68 says election must happen as soon as possible. You need to understand one thing. There is a difference between president and vice president. In case of president, we are carrying out election within 6 months. Vice president, as soon as possible. See this difference and remember it. Okay? Now, moving ahead. What about the powers? So, we said this person is ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. That means officially, when he is vice president, automatically he becomes ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. And he can act as president when president is not available. So either president is absent, or let's say he's ill, or let's say something happened to him. In that case, he acts as president. Okay, but this is only for 6 months. As far as removal part is concerned, if we want to remove vice president, so first you need to do one thing. You have to bring a resolution in Rajya Sabha, not Lok Sabha. He is chairman of Rajya Sabha. The first thing you will do is bring a resolution in Rajya Sabha, and here you will pass it with effective majority. Once it is passed with effective majority in Rajya Sabha, then you will reach out to Lok Sabha, and there you just need simple majority. Now I'm sure you will get confused with the term effective majority. So effective majority can be seen with this particular formula: total members of the house minus vacancies. So we will remove whatever seats are vacant in the Rajya Sabha over here, divided by 2 plus 1, whatever number comes in, that is the number you need, okay, in order to pass this particular resolution in Rajya Sabha. So if you have this effective majority, you can pass it in Rajya Sabha. Then you reach out to Lok Sabha, you just need simple majority. Simple, nothing else. Okay? Now, Vice President as chairman of Rajya Sabha, he has all these things which you can study or you can understand obviously. He presides over the sessions, so acting just like this Speaker of Lok Sabha. This Rule 256 can suspend members for disorderly conduct. So again, just like Speaker, he has got the power that he can suspend members for doing something wrong. He has a neutral role to play. We expect that this person will act in an impartial and neutral manner, not being sided on one particular party. Then he will have this casting vote. We said that in case of a tie, he can vote additionally. He has this power to refer bills to the committees. Same thing happens in case of Lok Sabha also. Now there are some limitations. For example, he cannot preside over joint sitting. If you see, if there is any joint sitting of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, it is the Speaker of Lok Sabha who is going to head it, not the chairman of Rajya Sabha. He will not be part of this joint sitting. And he cannot certify money bills. When it comes to money bills, we always give priority to the Speaker of Lok Sabha rather than chairman of Rajya Sabha. So here he doesn't have the power. Okay? And see, during acting as the president, stop functioning as chairman. This is one thing we can understand. When you become the president, you are not acting as the chairman of Rajya Sabha. We have some other position called as deputy chairman. So the deputy chairman acts as the chairman of Rajya Sabha when this vice president is acting as the president of India. Okay, these are the basic facts. All of us must know about this position of vice president. Now, as far as CP Radhakrishnan is concerned, so he was earlier member of Lok Sabha. He was elected to Lok Sabha from Coimbatore 2 times in 1998 and 1999. Okay, so he's from Tamil Nadu, we can say. Now he has served as governor of Jharkhand in 2023 and later the governor of Maharashtra in 2024. Now this person has got some image in the politics. Some people call him Vajpayee of the Coimbatore. Reason being, he's a very soft-spoken person and he goes for consensus building. Most of the time, what he tries to do is, he doesn't always align with the ruling party, but he also tries to bring in opposition parties with him. So he goes beyond the party line and tries to build the consensus. That was one of the ability of Vajpayee. That's why he's called Vajpayee of Coimbatore. So now he became the vice president of India. Okay, so that was the news which we are supposed to study, and this position remains important, very important for prelims, mains as well as interview. Now, moving ahead, next news is about Nepal. And all of you must have seen whatever is happening in Nepal, maybe some reels, some videos, that there is some chaotic situation in Nepal. Few years back, we saw somewhat similar pictures in Sri Lanka. Then we saw similar pictures in Bangladesh just recently. And now we are observing similar kinds of news or similar kind of pictures coming from Nepal, where there is lot of chaos. You see, PM Oli resigns, Parliament top court set afire. So people are setting fire on this buildings of Parliament, Supreme Court, etc. So you can see the chaos over here. Now, why this all incident actually started? What was the trigger point because of which such chaotic situation came into picture? So, the government of Nepal, what they did suddenly, they put a ban on the social media platforms in Nepal. So their argument was these platforms are not adhering to some of the rules or regulations of the government. They're not accepting or they're not obliging with it. That's why we're putting a ban, and they completely banned all these 26 social media platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, X, YouTube, etc. So many things. And the moment this happened, so many people came to the streets protesting against this thing. Mostly it was the Gen Z. Okay, what is Gen Z? Is the people who are born between 1996 to 2012 or 2030. People born in this particular year range, they are called as Generation Z, Gen Z. And all of these Gen Zs are mostly having this inclination that they are very much open, they're very much on the social media platform. It's one of the source of freedom of expression for them. And the moment this happened, these Gen Zs started protesting. When they were protesting a lot, what government did in return, they tried to go for firing or they tried to suppress this protest. And this backfired. Okay, in this suppression, actually 19 protesters were killed. And the moment this kind of news came into picture that so many people have died, now the protesters became more violent and the movement spread like anything. You need to understand, there is no leader over here, there is no party over here. It's the mob, it's the people who have suddenly come out and now they're protesting, they're being violent, they started attacking just anything. In this case, they started attacking Parliament. They put a, they have burned the Parliament. Supreme Court, the Singh Darbar, this is the place where the government of Nepal sits. All this was torched. They have attacked the former prime ministers, the ministers, the finance minister's video is clearly available on YouTube if you can see. Former prime minister's wife died in this particular incident. Just imagine the situation, how chaotic. Ministers are being killed, their wives are being killed, suddenly the parliament is on fire. The present prime minister, PM Oli, he resigned. By looking at the situation, he resigned. Home ministers stepped down, and the president, he said, I'm going under the army protection. Even he has gone out. Right now, army is trying to take control because basic law and order, basic peace is not there. There is chaos, there is anarchy at this particular moment. Okay, so army is saying we are going to take over the security situation. Now what will happen, we don't know after this, whether army will take the complete control of even the political power, just like we have the situation in Myanmar, or army will take control just for few time, some time, so that some caretaker government can come in, some kind of election can take place. We have to see what exactly happens. Now you see, we said here the role of this Gen Z comes into picture. And why these Gen Zs are very angry? It's not the case that only because the government of Nepal, they banned social media platforms. That's not the only reason why such protest is happening. The reason is something different. This is just one reason that they have got just now. Reasons are multiple. There is anger in people because of corruption, nepotism, unemployment, which is continuously there. Okay, and here you need to understand one thing. Corruption is there in many of the countries. Nepotism is there in many of the countries. But you need to understand the citizens and state. In between there is a bond of trust. And here we see that trust bond or the social contract weakening. Citizens lack any kind of trust which is needed on the state. They don't have that. Which is continuously, they're observing corruption cases, so many corruption cases, nepotism happening, many nepo kids. This term has become very trending in Nepal. that Nepo kids are getting benefits easily and we all are unemployed. All these things combined has led to this result suddenly. Okay, so that's a good case for all the countries to see what can go wrong when corruption, nepotism, unemployment, all these things increase. What could be the final result of it? This kind of chaos will be the final result. Now, some figures are emerging right now over there, like this person, Balen Shah. He is the mayor of Kathmandu, and people are observing that maybe we can make him the prime minister. The youth likes this person. Or this person, he's freed from the jail, he can be an alternative. Or some people are even saying we should go back to monarchy. See, in Nepal earlier there was monarchy. Then they said we will bring democracy. Okay, now the problem is when you bring democracy, the expectation is we will get some services. We will get whatever promises this democracy is making, those promises will be served. But in reality, democracy didn't serve any purpose from Nepal. People, whatever people wanted, they got nothing. So democracy became useless for them. So now many people are saying we should go back to monarchy. Maybe monarchy can provide us the basic stuffs that we actually need. Okay, so if we see the structural causes behind all these problems, number one, the democratic promises, especially since 2008, they are unfulfilled. Whatever promises leaders have made, nothing has been completed. Just nepotism, corruption is continuing, so people are not getting what they really want. This is one region. Elites have captured the power. The political elites, they have captured the power. They're just taking care of themselves. They're acting in self-interest. There is heavy corruption, weak governance. Unemployment rate is very high. Migration is very high. People from Nepal, they go to different parts of the world. Specifically, they come to India also, just for the sake of some amount of money, just to get any kind of work, even the menial work. So this is a major problem. As a result of all of this, we see loss of public trust in the institutions. Institutions like, they lack trust in parliament, they lack trust in judiciary, they lack trust in executive. They have no trust on any state institution or government institution. As a result, you can see this anger coming out. Okay. Now see, you might say it's a good thing that has happened, because if state is not running well, people came out, that's fine. Someone had to take a stand, that's fine. But now there are some risks involved. First of all, these institutions might collapse. Now that's a dangerous thing. If institution collapse, creating a new institution from the scratch is not an easy task. It takes a lot of time to build institutions. So this is something you need to think of. Also, there is a risk of authoritarian drift or monarchy return. If monarchy returns, or let's say some kind of a dictator comes into picture, authoritarian regime comes into pictures, which is exactly contradictory to what democracy is. Who can guarantee that if democracy is not serving people, how can you say that this will serve? There's no guarantee. Or there's a possibility of rise of any populist outsiders. Someone may suddenly come in and take over all this movement and say, I'll provide you whatever you need. A populist leader might come into picture. All these possibilities are certainly there in this particular case. Okay. Now, as far as India is concerned, see, we are also concerned because Nepal is our neighboring state. Any problem happens there, that will have some implications on India, because it's a neighboring state. Security situation, if worsens in Nepal, then it will lead to worsening security situations even in India or the neighboring states. So, first of all, Prime Minister Modi, he said that violence is heart-wrenching and he's asking for peace. First of all, we have also gone for some security arrangement in the border area. So we have this Sashastra Sena Bal. We have deployed Sashastra Sena Bal, we have deployed drones and other forces also, so that we can ensure that the security problem does not get created in India. Okay. And the problem is, India can intervene if India wants to. We can intervene, but if we intervene, that might lead to extra backlash even against India, because earlier we had gone for some kind of blockade. If I'm not wrong, in the year 2015, we had gone for a blockade, undeclared blockade, and people of Nepal did not like it. If we go for any kind of intervention, maybe people will not like it. So India wants to intervene, but if it is seen as intervening, that will also not be seen in a good way. So what India is trying to do is, we're trying to show some neutral stance, that we're saying we're monitoring the situation, we're waiting for what things can be done over here. Okay, now the way forward for Nepal, not India, the way forward for Nepal is restore the dialogue, restore the social media freedom, and presently immediately form some interim government and go for some reforms. If you have so much unemployment, if you have so much corruption, nepotism, then reform the system, change the system as soon as possible. In long term, you have to have these things: anti-corruption, job creation, and strengthening the federalism. If you see the present system in Nepal, it is just like India, democratic republic. Just like India is a democratic republic, they are also a democratic republic. Just like India has federal structure, they also have federal structure. So if they strengthen it, if they make the democracy better, things would be better. Returning to monarchy, going to any authoritarian regime is not the solution. Reforming the systems, that is the real way forward, which we can say in case of Nepal. Okay, make sense? Yes? Now, the next news is about this goods movement affected as Manipur's Naga Council imposes trade embargo. Embargo means you're stopping the trade. You're not letting people or goods move from one place to the other. You stop the road or something. That's kind of an embargo. Now, what's exactly happening, you see? Just recently what had happened, Indian government, central government said, we are scrapping this free movement regime. We are scrapping this free movement regime and going for border fencing along India-Myanmar border. Now, what is this free movement regime? Because unless we know that, we'll not understand the news. So you need to understand one thing. If you see India and Myanmar map, okay, India shares substantial border with Myanmar. So many of our states are sharing border. Now what happens is, in here, there are people living, and those people belong to different ethnicities, and some people have their family bonds at different locations. Let's say someone has some families living in Manipur, as well as Mizoram, as well as Nagaland, as well as Myanmar. Okay, their families, their kinship, their ethnicity people, they live in Myanmar also and India also. So earlier we had this arrangement made between India and Myanmar. This arrangement said that people along the border can cross up to 16 kilometers of land in each other's territory. That means people living in India, they can get into Myanmar. You don't need visa or anything as such. 16 kilometers of land you can enter easily, and people of this side can enter into India. 16 kilometers. This was the arrangement made that we call as free movement regime. Now this was for those tribal people living who have those kinships, their families or their people are there on this side and that side both. Okay, now you see the geographical coverage, just to see India-Myanmar border, 1643 kilometers, and you can see which state is sharing how much of the border. Now most of this border is unfenced and porous. There's no fencing done. We have done fencing in case of India-Pakistan border, or some way we have tried to do this in case of Bangladesh also. Now we want to do the same thing in case of India-Myanmar border. Fencing means we'll create this some barrier over there so that people can't easily move from this side to that or that side to this side. And this mostly government does for the sake of security. Government wants to ensure security, that suddenly someone should not enter. Yes, any terrorist entering, anyone entering without any legal documentation or visa. So for that, they want to do the fencing. And for the fencing, they first decided we're scrapping this free movement regime. See, initially when this free movement regime came, earlier it was for 40 kilometers area. Then we reduced it to 16, now to 10, and now we are saying 0. You can't go for it. And to take care of this region, that you have to give some kind of a pass for people to travel from this side to that side for those 10 to 16 kilometers. That is done by Assam Rifles. So these Assam Rifles is the authority who is going to issue these border passes. Okay, that's how things are going to happen. Now, if we see the news, what's happening? Central government did this first of all, that free movement regime cancelled and we are going for border fencing. The moment now this news came into picture, people, these Naga people especially, who have ties on other sides also, they did not like this thing. So there is one council called as United Naga Council. Now this is not nothing but a civil society body. So it is just a normal body but a very powerful one. So those people who are Nagas and they are living in Manipur, they formed a body of Nagas. Okay, that body is called as United Naga Council. Their main objective first of all was to take care of the Naga people. They want, why Naga people are in Manipur? They should be part of Nagaland. Not just Nagaland, even there is an idea of greater Nagaland, that all the Nagas should have their own state. And here I'm talking about an independent state or a country of their own, you can think about, based on the ethnicity of Nagas. Okay, so such things are common. Now this civil society group called United Naga Council, they said this fencing cuts through their ancestral lands. They're saying that this is the area in which Nagas used to live. Now this part is in Myanmar, this part is in India, and now what India is trying to do, create a fencing over here. The moment you do the fencing, we will not be able to go to the people whom we really belong to. This fencing creates or cuts through our ancestral lands, and this threatens our identity, our heritage, our people, our relations. They do not like this particular thing that is happening over here. Okay, now you may ask exactly why central government cancelled this free movement regime. One thing which we can think about is the security reason. For sure, security reason is one thing. There are so many insurgent groups. What they do is, they know you can easily go from this side to that side to this side. They'll do something, some horrible activity they will carry out in India, and then suddenly they will move to Myanmar. So police cannot find, anyone cannot find them. So they misuse it, right? Sometimes arms movement also takes place in this area. So the security threat is always there. Apart from that, drugs and arms are being supplied. Specifically this drugs part, that is very concerning for India. Then illegal immigration happens continuously. So many refugees from the part of Myanmar, they're entering in India, especially after this Myanmar's 2021 coup. See, in Myanmar, earlier there was little democracy, or rather at least some democratic experiment was there, but suddenly in 2021 we saw a news. Suddenly the military had gone for a coup and took over the entire control of the state. After that, so many refugees started entering India. Okay, so that's a problem. It's very difficult for people to find out who is citizen and who is immigrant. So that's a problem. Then government has gone for this new border management policy, especially run by Home Ministry. They said that we have a plan to fence entire 1643 kilometer border. Just like we have fencing done in India-Bangladesh case, we want to do the same fencing with respect to this India-Myanmar case. So this is part of the policy decision Home Ministry has taken. And we have seen some ethnic violence in Manipur. Government says that whatever violence is taking place in Manipur or whatever happened, it was fueled because of the arms coming from Myanmar, refugees coming from Myanmar. They have some role to play in this crisis, the violence that we saw in case of Manipur. So considering all these things, government thought it's better to cancel or scrap this free movement regime. Obviously, Nagas are not liking it. Now, recent action, what this group has done, the Naga Council, they are saying you did not take our consent when you decided that you're going to go for this fencing project. That is their problem. Did you ask us? You are doing this particular thing which is going to affect us very badly. You did not even take our consent. So they are not ready to accept it. That's their problem. And now they have gone for trade embargo, indefinite trade embargo. They're saying will not allow any kind of trade to happen in this particular area. So they consider it is just a step of non-cooperation. They're trying to build pressure on the central government. Okay, now we have to see what happens. This is a news in transition. Some action central government will certainly take. Maybe they can have a talk with these people, or maybe using force. We don't know. We have to see what exactly happens in this particular case. Okay, so that's all for today about this current affairs. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you so much.